We need to stop buying into the myth about gender equality.
It isn't a reality yet.
Today, women make up half of the U.S. workforce, but the average working woman earns only 77% of what the average working man makes.
But unless women and men both say that this is unacceptable, things will not change. According to research done by the Institute for Women's Policy Research, if change continues at the same slow pace it has done for the past 50 years, it will take 44 years, or until 2059, for women to finally reach pay parity.
Executive Vice President for Policy here at the Center for American Progress. And we're very excited that you've decided to join us for our discussion on combating pay discrimination. As you know, tomorrow is April 8th, which is Equal Pay Day. Sadly, we do need to take the time to recognize that we haven't done everything we need to do in terms of ensuring more equity between men and women in terms of their pay. Women in our country are paid on average 77 cents for doing the same job as a man. And when we look at that along racial and ethnic lines, it gets even worse. African American women make only 64 cents, and Hispanic women only 54 cents for every dollar that white, non-Hispanic men make. But equal pay isn't just a women's issue, it's a family issue. Families increasingly rely on women's wages to make ends meet. Between 1967 and 2010, the percentage of mothers who brought home at least a quarter of the family's earnings rose from less than a third, 28%, to nearly two-thirds.
Do you know what the gender wage gap is?
Yes.
Do you feel that there is a gender wage gap in America?
Yes, I do.
Why do you believe this wage gap exists?
I believe it exists because I believe it's a remnant of the women's rights issues that we've had in America.
Why is it an issue?
Because it affects women. That's why. Because it affects us. And if we're doing the same amount of work at the same quality as a man, we should be paid equally. Equal pay for equal work. That's the way it should be.
Do you know what the gender wage gap is?
Yeah, I think so.
Do you think that there exists one in America?
I think there's technically one, but I don't think it's everything that people think it is. I don't think there's discrimination among the sexes. I think it's different people have different qualifications, and there tends to be a trend towards one gender having more qualifications than the other.
When people talk about this, what they really are focusing on is a Department of Labor statistic that is regularly produced, and this compares the full-time working, the average wages of a full-time working man with the average wages of a full-time working woman. And it comes out that it bounces around a little bit, but it's always about three-quarters, that women make three-quarters of what men make. But the thing that I find I think people need to know is that this is an incredibly misleading statistic. This doesn't mean that, your coworker who's doing the exact same job is making more than you if you are a woman. What this means is that women tend to make different choices about work and take on different jobs and pursue different careers and have different work histories which affect how much they earn. And when you start controlling for those variables, the wage gap shrinks. In some cases it disappears, and in some cases it even reverses.
Do you believe that this is a major issue for this country?
Yes, I wouldn't say it is the most major, but I would say that it is a big deal. I would say that the feminist movement has taken women very, very far already, but there's obviously still some work to be done, and me getting paid for the same amount of work as my male coworkers would not only be nice for me, but also be nice for women in general, because they will be held to a higher standard than they are now.
Do you believe that this is a major issue for our country?
Yes.
Why?
Because based off the U.S. Constitution, there should be equality for all, so it shouldn't be based on what your gender is. So in the Air Force 2016, we have implemented all jobs for all genders. So females can do special forces jobs. We've taken that ban off of our jobs, so I believe the rest of the world, especially the United States, need to follow suit.
So with that being said, do you believe the gender wage gap is an issue in America?
I think it's an issue. I don't think it's not like a social problem, I guess. It's an issue that can be resolved easier than most people think. I think it's something that is misunderstood, is what I would say it is.
What do you believe are the major causes for the large wage gaps?
I believe part of it is the pride and the ego of men. You know, I believe a lot of people had an issue with a female running for president this year. So I believe part of that goes back to the women's right issues. There was a time where women were solely expected to just cook, clean, take care of the kids. And now you have women aspiring and running, you know, Fortune 500 companies and flying jets and every other career field that you name. So from even police officers, which is what I've done for the majority of my military career. So I believe that part of it is the mentality of men being in charge. And I think, you know, our society or our culture has an issue with a woman, you know, being in charge.
What do you think are the major causes for the wage gap?
Because historically women have never been considered equal to men, and the woman's place was to be in the home raising the children, taking care of the house, and not being out doing the type of work that men did. For years there were certain jobs that women could not even get training in. You didn't find women doing construction work, you know, being plumbers, electricians, and roofers, and those types of jobs, because they were always considered for the men, blue collar jobs. And it was even reflected in the military. Okay, there were certain jobs that women could not get training in the military. There were just certain positions that women could hold. And throughout the years, Congress has passed laws that have opened up ways for women, or the ability for women to get into different type of career fields, and so now women are doing more, and you still have men who feel that women aren't equal. And Congress has passed laws for equal pay, and you have unions on in the workplace on a lot of jobs where women can go and file complaints if they feel that they were passed over for promotion, but they're doing the same work and maybe getting better appraisals for the work that they're doing, but they're not being promoted, or they're not getting the same pay rate.
How can we as a country minimize the gender wage gap?
First, I believe it is recognizing it. And then second, I believe that recognizing it also with intersectionality.
How can we as a country minimize the gender wage gap?
I believe the first way is to kind of practice what we preach. We've set it up in our U.S. Constitution that, you know, there should be no discrimination based off of race, creed, gender. But in our own individual companies, some of these CEOs kind of have that mentality of, I want a male running my company. So I believe the first issue is to actually practice what we preach, make it all based on, you know, the content of the character and pretty much nothing else. You know, if the person is qualified and the best for the job, it shouldn't matter what their gender is.
I had to, on one occasion, I had to go to the union that I was a member of on my job, and gave them proof, evidence, and I had other members and on my job, that co-workers, you know, vouched for me, you know, about my job performance, and my appraisals were good. So if I'm getting top, excellent, and outstanding appraisals, and the position is open, and I get passed over for it, I need to know why. And it was shown, it was because there was favoritism with the supervisor for one of the other employees, and that person received the raise and promotion, and I didn't. So push come to shove, I won my case, and I got the job.
So when you say you want to be paid the same as your male coworkers, does this insinuate that you have, in fact, experienced wage gap personally yourself?
Yes, I have worked at my own job for about 2 years now, and I make a whole $1 less than somebody who's a male who started 3 weeks ago.
Do you believe that men and women have equal job opportunities in America today?
I do. There are very few areas that you don't find women working in, and I think it's because they're not interested. It's not because it's not available, because if there's a school that offers that class, a woman has the right to apply and go to school and learn that. I don't think there's any job or any occupation that a woman would be denied the opportunity to get into. Not in this day and age.
So in conclusion, there is in fact a gender wage gap in America. So it is important that we as a country all work together in order to make this gap as narrow as possible for all new generations to come.